Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a new game of StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm. Today we're gonna have a look at a game that I've played last night versus none other than Lightseas Red, apparently his name is. And it's going to be a Zerg vs Protoss on the map Derelict Watcher TE. Now in this specific game, we are once again going to do a little bit of game analysis. So we are going to watch this game completely through my vision of view so I can talk about the things that I was thinking about during this game. And I can maybe explain you the thoughts behind certain moves that I make in this game. So, this game was played last night on a live stream. Once again, I've been live streaming a lot lately, so if you're up to check that out, check the link in the description, it will take you straight to my Twitch TV page. But in this specific game, my opponent is going to go for something that is called a Sentry Drop. Now, for everyone that has played Zerg for longer than like a few months, you've probably seen this build at least pop up every now and then, and it's pretty much game over if you don't respond properly. Basically what happens is that a Protoss player will load up a Warp Prism, which is basically that dropship with a few sentries. Then they will actually have gateways behind it, and they will oftentimes have like 4 sentries in that dropship. And what they will do is go for your main base, block yourself out of your, or block the Zerg player from their main base by force fielding the ramp to the natural. So that way pretty much all the Zerg army, which is usually at the natural or at the third base, is completely out of position. And that way they can actually just keep force fielding the ramp, just warp in with the Warp Prism, and simply like pretty much just kill your mineral line in your main base. And usually that's also where your attack buildings are located and all that kind of jazz. So it's a pretty nasty strategy, and I'm pretty sure that most players have at least faced it at least once, but since it is so rare, you don't really know a proper way to deal with it. Now, in this game, my opponent is gonna go for a similar way of playing as well, and I think this is one of the better responses that you can do, so I guess we will see that in a little bit. Now, in this game, I'm just going to open up with my standard game, really. There's not a lot of weirdness. If you've been watching the channel or you've been watching the live stream at all, you probably know what I'm going for. I'm going actually a little bit greedy in this game, a little bit different than I normally do. I do go for a hatchery first, which is not the best thing to do, obviously, because you can just get kind of rushed and just straight up die, but every now and then you gotta do a little bit of a risky strategy, because, you know, I don't really care about ladder points anyway, so might as well just try out a few things. So here we go, I'm going to open up with a hatch into a spawning pool, and since I'm going for such a greedy hatchery, I might as well also follow it up with a quick gas, guys, to get my Zerg speed out, which is basically a little tiny advantage that I can take right now. Now, I do manage to get an Overlord on his side of the map, and I notice, okay, there's absolutely 0 buildings on that ramp. So what does that mean? Well, it means at the very least there's not gonna be a Fort Fast expand. There's also not gonna be a, you know, Nexus first. So here we go, I do see it going down right before the 4-minute mark, which means that he actually got his Nexus down after the Cybercore, and after the gateway, and after, or actually before a Zealot. He actually skipped the Zealot completely. So he's just going pretty much balls deep, just getting a Mothership Core to defend anything for now, and he's just playing a pretty standard style. You see that quite often right now. So I'm gonna get my Zerg speed out, which is pretty much the hard counter right now to this sort of a build, and I'm just gonna be droning up. Now for me, it's crucial at this point in the game that I don't really overcreate drones, or overcreate units. It's really tempting right now that because you see that he's vulnerable, there's no wall off at his ramp, it might be really tempting to make a lot of units right now, but if I do that, I just put myself behind for absolutely 0 reason. So what I would need to do, first and foremost, is make drones. If you take a look at the income tab right now, we should be pretty even. As you can see, we are pretty even. But once my injects pop off is really when I can start taking a pretty decent advantage at this point in the game. So that's going to be my main goal. Now I'm gonna go for a little bit of a quick lair, because I don't really have any other reasons to spend my gas for now. So I'm not going to be too worried with it. Now if you take a look at the production tab, I should be ramping up the drone production right about now. Oh, come on, Lowko, you can make drones. Come on, there we go. A little bit of a sloppy macro right there, but not the biggest of deals. So right now I'm flying in with an Overlord and I'm checking out what is going on. Now the reason for this Overlord is basically to figure out if there's 1 or 2 gas guys down in the main base. Usually whenever they go for like a 4 gate or maybe even a 5 gate off of 2 bases, they will not be able to afford 2 gas guys. But in this game I notice, okay, there's actually 1 gas or 2 gas guys down in the main base, assault probes mining to the 2nd gas, and I notice, okay, there's also a robotics facility on the way, and I'm a little bit confused by this because usually you don't really see a quick robotics like this. base. Pretty much 99% of the time right now you do see a similar build order, but in that situation they go for a Stargate instead of the robotics facility. So I'm a little bit confused by that. Nonetheless, I'm just gonna follow it up with my standard build, gonna get more gases up, gonna get my Hydra Disc down up, and I made a whole bunch of Zerglings just to deal with any sort of aggression that he might be doing. Now, like I mentioned, he is gonna go for a sentry drop in the main, and I'm a little bit confused by that. Nice response timing right there by my opponent, by the way, but here we go. You can see on the production tab, he's warping in 3 sentries right now. A Warp Prism is about to be finished, and I have absolutely no clue about this. Honestly though, I should be aware of this just by simply knowing the buildings that were down. I saw 4 gateways, or at least I know there's 4 gateways down. I also know there's a robotics facility down, so I should honestly already be blindly preparing for that, but I get completely caught off guard right here. So in a little bit, he will be dropping my main base, and it's not gonna be very pretty. So I managed to get a scout off once again of his 3rd base. I need to know exactly when that one is going up, or when it isn't going up. And basically this, I believe this is the moment where he starts dropping the main base. If you take a look at the everyone cam, yes, you can see in the top left of this map, let me actually scoot over there. You can see the Warp Prism going by. Now let's go back to my vision. I have absolutely no idea of this dropship coming in whatsoever. So the thing you need to do, as soon as you see the dropship entering your main base, which I do see right now, is make double spine crawler in the main base. I found that this is pretty much absolutely necessary. You can make even 3 or 4, and you need to use all the larvae in your main base to basically make them into units. You can't really use those to make drones anymore. You need to be making units. Now, it's really crucial that you buy time for your spine crawlers to go up. Now, spine crawlers build rather fast, so I'm basically trying to not engage those spine crawlers or those zealots for the longest time, and just trying to tank a little bit of damage with a few drones, but so far it's looking pretty decent. If you take a look at the work and kill tab, only 3 work is gone so far. I'm also instantly replacing another queen in my main base because, you know, I'm expecting it to go down, even though I might not, and here we go, my spine crawlers are finished. He kept warping in about 8 zealots in total right now, and I do have Hydralisk in the main base. Now I'm going to use the Hydralisk to pick off the dropship, and pretty much 0 damage has been done right here. And basically this was some sort of an all-in from him. He needed to do damage with this, and if you take a look at the work and kill tab, only 3 workers went down right there. So keep in mind, whenever this happens, instantly start another queen in the mains, instantly start 2 or 3 spines in your main base behind your mineral line as well, and use those to ward off any kind of zealots, and then use any kind of anti-air, either queens or Hydralisk or whatever you're going for, to ward off the aggression and try and pick off the dropship the best you can. Now, I do have my 3rd base up right now, and at this point the game is looking pretty much solid in my favor. Hitting a little bit of a supply block right here, that's actually really sloppy by me. I still don't realize that. Wow. Well, I still don't realize I'm supply blocked. Wow. I still do not realize that I'm supply. There we go. Finally an overlord going down. Jeez, it's a really late overlord. But here we go. I'm trying to do a little bit of aggression. No need to risk it right now for me. If you take a look at the income tab, we are pretty even. I'm actually slightly ahead. But I can start ramping up production to my natural and to my 3rd base really soon. And the most and foremost thing to realize right now is that I did manage to pretty much pick off a lot of sentries, a lot of resources that he invested into that push that could have otherwise done a lot more damage. So my Hydralisk upgrades are nearly done. He is going for a Dark Templar follow-up, as you can see. So usually around this time, you would also want to start a Overseer. I already have an Overseer, because usually whenever a Protoss is behind, they can go for Dark Templars and try to get a cheap win at the game. So I'm not going to really try and let something like that lose the game for me. So I put my Spine Crawlers that I put in my main base, I actually moved them to the low ground to use them for this Immortal Sentry all-in follow-up that my opponent is going for. Now I'm going to start up my Roach production. Roach speed is on the way. I'm going to start 11 more, already have a bunch on the way. And from here on out, the only thing that I need to do, since I know that there's no 3rd base up on my opponent, the only thing that I need to do is hold this all-in. He is gonna go for an all-in. The only thing that I need to realize is that that is the only thing that he can be really doing in this game. If I manage to hold the all-in, I win the game. So I'm not going to worry about any more drone production. If I make any more drones right now, I might as well just, you know, risk losing right here. The only thing I need to do is just defend and stop this. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a hard task, but I do have an Overseer ready to deal with those Dark Templar. Going to target fire those down, just in case he might pick off my Overseer right here. But I'm just really buying time, not going to stand in those, I don't even know what they're called, like those big slowing thingies. I'm not going to stand in those with my army, because there's really no reason for me to do just that. And my army, it might not look very big, but his army only has 2 immortals in there, and it's just not very strong. I do have a bunch of upgrades finished. I do know that there's no energy anymore on that mothership core. Going to target fire down the immortal at the front, going to target fire down the immortal on the right side as well, to make sure that all the DPS in this army is gone. And from here on out, it's just a pretty easy cleanup. More roaches, more hydras, and more zerglings in the production tab right now, and it will be a relatively easy cleanup for me to win this game. As you can see, I'm doubling him in supply right now. I could technically go back to drawing up this third base, but my opponent decides to leave the game. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I will see you in the next video.